Hello to you, Kalamazoo. I'm Tobias Pixler, interning at Public Media Network. And I'm here today to talk to Parchment City Mayor Robert Britigan. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And we're going to talk about the planned new curling club facility for the Kalamazoo Curling Club that is being planned in the city of Parchment. That's correct?
That's correct.
Can you tell us a little bit of how that got started?
Sure. Well, we were contacted by the curling club. They were looking at a permanent facility. This was before the current ice problems surfaced, no pun intended. And they approached us and said, hey, you have some land that might be suitable for an indoor ice arena. And we said, yes, we do. We have a former paper mill, and we have some land that was part of that mill. That mill one was demolished, several years ago, and it was a perfect location. So we had further meetings with them, and we're very enthusiastic that they're interested in Parchment. And we said, look, we can sell you what you need. How much do you need? What size building are you looking at doing? And they concluded that about 2.5 acres would be appropriate. So we have exactly 2.5 acres that we can sell to them. And at that point, after some conversations, we negotiated an arrangement where they could buy the land and then ultimately build their facility on it. So they approached us looking for a permanent home because heretofore they've been leasing various spaces. And therefore, they were sort of third fiddle, if you will, to the hockey and to the ice skaters, the figure skaters, which I understand they have quite a following and quite a group that takes a lot of the time.
Surprisingly so.
Yeah.
That paper mill, that is located behind, there's an ice cream shop.
There is.
Located near there.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
It's a very busy street.
Well, the city was formed. It was a company town, formed back in 1909 by Jacob Kindleberger when he bought a former beet factory, and converted it to paper. And then eventually it became a village. And then in 1939, the city was incorporated into Parchment was incorporated into a city. And since that time, it's evolved. And of course, the paper industry pretty much left the Kalamazoo County in general, but Parchment specifically. And that left about 80 some acres of abandoned paper mill that had to be repurposed. And so Mill 1 was taken down by a previous developer, and the hopes were that could be redeveloped. And you mentioned the ice cream shop was one of the first developments on that site.
So going back to the curling club, how much of the planning for that is being done by the city of Parchment, and how much is being done by the club?
So most of it's being done by the club. They have a need. Once the ice situation occurred out at Wings West, former Wings West, where you had the KOHA and then the figure skaters and the curling club looking for ice to even lease, they approached us and were trying to understand what their needs were. And they understood their needs, but when this situation arose, Discovery Kalamazoo stepped in, of course, the Convention and Visitors Bureau of Kalamazoo County. They stepped in and said, hey, how can we help you solve your problem? So that got them together with the other two groups, and they were sort of looking at long-term solutions, including a single facility with multi-sheets of ice that could be used by all the groups. And the curling club really wants independence. They want to have their own building. They don't want to be a tenant. They want to kind of control their destiny. So they've been trying to figure out, A, what they need, B, how much is it going to cost to build what they need, and then where can they best put that facility. And they believe that it's the city of Parchment, and we are excited that they are as enthusiastic as we are about putting this facility in the city of Parchment.
What you said about construction costs.
Yes.
I'm curious if there's anything else being considered in terms of costs, because obviously there's a lot more that goes into building a place like this that aside from just building it from the ground up?
Sure. So we have, obviously there's the land costs. And one of the advantages of coming to Parchment is we have, the land is, I'm not going to say free, but virtually free to them. I mean, we're excited to have them develop. So we worked out a pretty good arrangement where their land costs are going to be minimal. We do have to subdivide a parcel to allow for the 2.5 acres to be deeded to them. But we worked out an arrangement with them where their costs would be minimal. They also are a nonprofit. So one of the concerns that we have as a city is while we appreciate nonprofits and the good work they do and the structure of a nonprofit, they don't typically pay taxes.
Right.
And in a city like Parchment, we can't afford to have a lot of nonprofits or we wouldn't have any tax revenue to support essential services. So one of the things that we negotiated and worked out with them is a municipal services agreement where for the first several years of their occupancy, once they build their building, they'll pay what would have been equivalent to property taxes to the city of Parchment to cover those municipal services, fire, police, sanitary, roads, infrastructure type costs that are typically paid for through property taxes. They will pay that equivalent for a period of time, and then when that municipal services agreement ends, it'll be a tax-free facility for them. So their costs are going to be more upfront and less on the back end.
Interesting. So it is just the curling club that's looking to use this. They want to be private. They want to have their own building, so they're not just renting out some place that's already being used by so many other.
Correct. They want to have their independence so they can do what they want to do when they need to do it. Obviously, it's not year-long, year-round sport, so they are looking for ways to maximize the use of that space in the off-season, particularly in the summer months. So, I've talked about could they have a community center where it could be used by other groups, maybe for different indoor events? Could it be repurposed for multi-use inside when they melt the ice or take the ice off for the summer months and use it for some other type of sport or indoor activity? And so those conversations are happening too, because the more they can maximize the use of it, the better opportunity it is for them, and it'll help offset some of their costs.
How much does the public know about? How much do the people of Parchment know about this? Do the people who know about it, are they excited about it? Have you gotten a chance to even take a general consensus?
Sure.
On this?
There's not been any formal consensus, but I think there is a great excitement. And part of that is, even though they're a nonprofit, part of it is the traffic it's going to generate into our city. We're a small city, so we like to bring in people from outside Parchment, from the county and elsewhere to utilize and visit the businesses. We think it'll be a real catalyst for future development, whether it's more ice cream shops, coffee shops, small restaurants, bars, things like that can complement what they're doing. So there'll be a draw. They have, they host tournaments, both local and national tournaments, and that'll be a great draw that we hope will help grow small businesses in the community.
Those curling tournaments, those games, they draw in a lot more people than I ever would have expected. I was looking into it. Some 100,000 people attend curling.
I can believe it. Yeah.
In this area every year.
Yeah, it's amazing. They well, of course, the recent Winter Olympics drew a lot of attention. I mean, everywhere I went, there was curling on the TV. You go wherever it is, Burdick's or wherever, there's curling on TV, and that really, everyone really is interested in it. And it's a sport that you can really do for a lifetime. You don't have to be a 20-something-year-old Olympian to do to curl. There's all different levels, I understand, and it's a sport that looks like it's fun for everyone.
How far in the development are you? I'm sure you're very early on in the planning stages.
We are. So historically, I'm going to go back a little bit in history here. When the mill first went out, we actually had a few fits and starts with other developers. And we sold it to one developer as an example, and didn't work out. They couldn't get the financing. Another developer came in, and right as they closed, the Great Recession hit in 2008, 2009. Oh. And so they had to reset expectations. And their vision was for a mixed use with commercial and residential components. And eventually their plans just went didn't happen. And so we decided as a city that we want to take the mill back, the property back. So we worked out a rescission agreement with that developer that allowed us to retake control and do what we want. So as we took it back, literally, we closed on it in December of 2019. In March, COVID hits. So we used all that time to do some planning, both master planning of what's the vision? How do we want to see that mill developed? And the Planning Commission at the time said, we'd like to see that as a mixed use development where we've got some light manufacturing, some commercial and residential. And so that was the effort that was put forth in the master plan. And we did some PUD zoning and we did some other things to allow that to happen. But then we're sitting back and we've kind of been using a more of a shotgun approach and basically entertaining any opportunities that come our way. But we decided, we need to be a little more surgical in how we approach this. So we just commissioned a highest and best use study with a third party to come in and determine what will the market support. We have this vision, but as the old adage goes, a vision without funding is just an hallucination. So we want to make sure that there's going to be a market to support that vision. And part of that vision involves the curling club because it's about bringing people to Parchment. So we think this is could be a great cornerstone for future development. It's not the end all be all solution, but things build momentum. And in this community, if you build it, they will come. And we're excited about this opportunity. And frankly, we're hoping they're in their due diligence period right now. We're hoping we can close on it in the next month or so and move forward. I think that will be a real attraction. And then with regard to the balance of the mill, we will then take the results of this highest and best use study and use a little more surgical approach by reaching out to developers with RFPs, requests for proposals, targeted to developers for the various industry or business types that have been identified as being supported by market at the former mill site. So we're just getting started trying to build momentum, and we're excited the Curling Club hopefully will be part of that.
Well, thank you very much for coming in, for taking the time. This has been a wonderful opportunity, and hopefully we can see this new curling club by the end of the year if we're lucky.
Well, I think they're building their construction schedule. That's going to be there. I mean, they're looking for funding too. So right. It's even nonprofits need funding. So they're going to look for that to develop this, and that may impact their timeline. But the sooner the better for sure. And thank you for having me.